Welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears, where the content really writes itself. We're with, surprise, surprise, a broken car. Now, that doesn't really narrow it down, but this week we're actually going to be working on the Jeep. Now, the Jeep, for the past several weeks, has been broken. And like any other self-respecting car owner, I have been ignoring it. And just turn the radio up a little louder. So some of the problems it's been making. First, it was making a really bad shaking when I'm under acceleration, under low, going up a hill, especially like 30 miles an hour-ish. It eventually kind of levels out a little bit, but it comes and goes throughout my drive. Now, thinking that could be possibly motor mounts, I just kind of ignored it and said, let me get to the end of this project, and then I will address it because it's just motor mounts. It's not the end of the world. But there was also a little bit of a ticking noise, which I am actually not sure what it could be. That ticking noise has gotten a lot worse to the point where it's actually very concerning. A lot of people, at least on the internet, say it's drive shaft. It could be the slip yoke, especially if it's lifted. Well, it's lifted. I have a slip yoke eliminator kit, which was designed for this lift, so I am quite skeptical about that being the problem. I have actually read about people saying that changing their motor mounts fix this noise, so I'm hoping to do that. I've also got some other maintenance items that I have been putting off for quite a bit of time, and hopefully by taking care of these maintenance items, it will take care of the problems I'm having. I guess you can't really call it preventative maintenance if the thing you're supposed to prevent is actually starting to happen. So in addition to the motor mounts, we're actually going to be changing some oil. We're going to change the front and rear differential oil. We're going to change the transmission oil, and we're going to change the transfer case oil, because really it's just been quite a while since those things were changed, and I want to just make sure that that's not part of the problem. However, the oil is on order. It's going to be here a little bit later in the week, and that is due to it being around the holidays. Shipping tends to slow down, even though prices are actually quite good right now. I got some Black Friday specials on Jeep oils, but it's going to take a while to get here, so we're going to start with the motor mounts and then take it out for a drive, and hopefully that fixes it. Regardless of whether or not the problem is actually fixed, these are things I need to do anyway. So at the very least, if the problem is still going on after I've done this work, at the very least I didn't flush money down the toilet like I did with the Miata last week. And if this work doesn't solve the problem, I'm actually kind of at a loss. I might have to take it to the shop with all of that money that I have just kind of sitting around. So let's get started. We're going to start with the lower transmission mount, and then we're going to do the ones on the engine. Let's get to it. Here's the motor mount that was in there for the transmission. As you can see, it's actually not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. I am going to put this on the shelf, set it aside, and if I ever need it again, it'll be there. That said, this was not completely an exercise in futility because we learned something. So we have quite a bit of leakage happening here, and it is even more apparent with the skid plate off of the Jeep. So this, I believe, is the reason for the noise that I'm having. This output shaft seal is most definitely leaking. So you see it leaking all down around this output case here. That's probably the cause of the leak. I didn't actually notice it until I was putting the skid plate back on. So even though replacing the motor mount was kind of a crapshoot, it led me to discovering this. So that's pretty cool. This is not too hard to replace. I just have a few bolts on the yoke itself, and then there's a big bolt, a nut inside the yoke that I pop out with my impact, and then I can pick out the seal. So that's not very hard to replace, and we're going to go ahead and do that next. If this solves the problem, I don't think I'm going to do the other things I had planned to do in this video. Just because I need to minimize the downtime on this Jeep. I need to get it back on the road so that I can do the things that I need to do over at my project house, because I can't do everything just riding a motorcycle. So I'm trying to get the light and the camera down in there to get a good look-see, and I don't think it looks that bad. Honestly, I'm probably going to leave these motor mounts alone for now, at least until it comes time to do some more serious work in the engine compartment. Clearly, I have some work that I need to do, but it is not work that needs to happen right now. What needs to happen right now is repairing that transfer case. So I do have these oils all arriving, and I am still going to change them because they do need to be done. But the transfer case is the most important one. So I need to find a seal for it, and or find out how to reseal it, and go from there. I seem to have the only drive shaft in the world that won't just pop right out. This was supposed to be an hour job, turning into a multi-day nightmare. Because that's how we do it on Dirt, Sweat, and Gears. So now I need to figure out how to get this thing out of here. I might have to start disconnecting suspension components. I really, really don't want to do that, but I might not have another choice. This thing is stuck on there. I guess the drive shaft I got did not need to be as long as it was. I don't know, but this is a problem, and I'm not happy about it. Hey, I figured it out. What a relief. What a relief. So, I don't know how much damage I did over there. I'm going to have to take a closer look at it. It looks pretty beat up, but I'm hoping that all I have to do is just clean it up and re-grease it. I don't think I hurt it too badly. These little caps of the U-joint popped off, so I'm going to have to re-grease those and clean them up, re-grease them before I put them back in. But over on this side, let me move over so that... So let me show you what I ended up doing. So first, I unbolted the transmission, and then I just lifted it up a little bit with the jack over there, and that gave me just enough travel to start maneuvering this thing off. And now that I'm closer to it, this U-joint, yeah, all I have to do is clean it up, re-grease it, and it'll be fine. I didn't do too much damage to it. Over here, you can see I scratched up the yoke a little bit. Big freaking deal. So now I have to take off this bolt, which I'm sure is going to be easy, which of course means it's going to take 6 hours. I have to remove that bolt, and then I can pop the slip yoke out. Not the slip yoke, the yoke. So I just have to remove that bolt, and then I can take the yoke out and start replacing the seal. I'm starting to understand why people don't like modified cars. And I think it really started to become apparent to me now that I have 6 cars, each one of them modified and each one of them broken. Because I gotta tell you, if I had not known, if I had not been able to find the manufacturer of this slip yoke eliminator kit, I would have been dead in the water. I would have had to have either gotten a whole new slip yoke system, put it back to stock, or get a new slip yoke eliminator, or get a new housing that has the same inner diameter and swap this in, because this was really, 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 really hard to track down. So first, I called 4-Wheel Parts, who I bought this from, and they insisted that it was an off-the-shelf part. But you could get it at any auto parts store. So I start calling up auto parts stores. I went down to AutoZone. I ordered what I thought was the correct part. Well, the one they gave me fell right out of the transfer case. So that didn't work. And then I tried another one from AutoZone, and it was completely wrong. Then I went to O'Reilly. O'Reilly was completely wrong. And then they had another one that was similar to this, but it ended up being the same situation as AutoZone, where it was slightly too small. So I went back to 4-Wheel Parts for the third time, and I told them, nobody has this on their shelf. So this is not an off-the-shelf part. And so they ended up calling the manufacturer of that slip yoke system. I had to find it on their website, the one that I bought, and match it up. So they were able to find out who the manufacturer was. It was ATEM Offroad. And so part of the reason I'm recording this is for when I have to replace the seal again in the future, and for other people who have been in the same situation as me. So RT told them that they have a part number that is an exact match of this. It comes from RT, which I guess is Rugged Terrain is what it stands for. They also gave me a national oil seals number. And they said it's going to look different, but it's going to match. And this one was actually at O'Reilly. Part number is 3946. And it looks like this. If I were trying to match this up, I would never have grabbed this seal. So thankfully, we were able to track that down. Now, if I hadn't known what slip yoke eliminator kit I had, I wouldn't have been able to match that up. I would have been just totally screwed. So I understand the appeal now of wanting cars in completely stock condition when you buy them. That said, now I have a YouTube video to go off of when this fails in the next, 5-6 years or whatever, and I have to replace it again. Now I know where to get it. So let's put this in. It looks like it's going to be pretty easy to put in because it has this nice little lip on it. I could just put a piece of wood across the lip and bang it in with the hammer. Let's give this a try. So you're never going to believe what I did to get this thing seated. So I found it pretty convenient that it had this lip, because then that gave me a good place to know where to stop hammering it in. You stop hammering it in when you get this thing to line up into the body. But that also, I wasn't too terribly concerned with bending it, because I can just straighten it out on the housing itself. So I still have a little bit more massaging to do to get this thing on perfectly, but the hardest part was to get the party started, because when you put this thing in, it shifts in. Here's the L1, just for an example. You put this thing in and you start hammering in on one side, it goes like that, and then you hit the other side, it goes like that, and then you hit the other side, it goes like that. So it just becomes an endless cycle of putting in one side and another side comes out. So you need something that is about this big in order to hold the other side down when you're banging in a side, and to try to apply pressure as evenly as possible. And once you get it established, you could take this out, whatever it is you're using, out, and just start kind of massaging it on each corner. I used a block of wood just to save my sanity, because I'll go insane if I bend this beyond repair. I've been through too much on this project. But you'll never guess what I used. I used this guy. So I put this on, and it happened to be almost, it could stand to be a little bit bigger, but it was almost exactly the size I needed. I actually stacked two of these on top of each other. So you notice the one was really close to the splines, but two, now we're talking. This is actually a paint pourer. You put this on top of the paint cans that you get at Home Depot when you're painting a house, and you can pour it out of this little spout instead of out the side of the can, and it saves you from getting paint all over the can. So I got really lucky that I forgot to take this out to my other project, because I ended up using it to fix this Jeep, and that was exactly what I needed. What a relief. So I'm really cold, and I've still got some more work to do. I've got to clean up the drive shaft itself and put that back together and reattach it in the back. So I'm going to come out with a little bit warmer clothes and finish this up. And so I got to clean that up. I'm going to put together the rear first, and then we will reconnect the yoke and reconnect the drive shaft to the yoke, and I should be good to go. So I've got that little rubber thing that's supposed to go on top of the splines here. Clean that back up, put that back on. And I've seen other people put a little bit of RTV along the splines themselves. I think I'm going to copy that. And a little bit of, Loctite on the nut itself before I drive the nut back down. So let's get this all back together. And then once I get it back together, I will drain and fill the transfer case itself, because I know it's low. I just want to get a look at what the, what does the fluid itself look like? How many metal shavings does it have in here? How badly did I damage the chains? We're going to find that out. So I was cleaning this up to put it back together, and you see these little roller pins? They actually started falling out. I actually got really, really lucky because they fell out mostly right here, and one fell on the floor. But I was able to recover them all, and looks like I think I got lucky, because I'm going to put this back on, of course, with plenty of fresh grease. I'm going to put this back on, and I think I'm okay. I think I got lucky. So let's go put this thing back on the car before it falls off again. So I got all back together. Again, I had to put the jack underneath the transmission to lift it up, get clearance to put the drive shaft back on, bolted everything up. And I have since moved it out of the garage because it started to rain last night, and I wanted to get the Miata out of the rain, because the top on that thing is like a screen door on a submarine. So I haven't actually driven it. I've just moved it just a few feet. But you see the shaft is connected to the yoke. The yoke is back in. It is torqued down to 150 foot-pounds. I have drained and filled the transfer case. I did not show the fluid itself because there was really nothing remarkable about it. It was clean. It was there was no metal flaking on the magnets. So I think I got lucky. The fluid level was low. It had about probably a quart in it, maybe a little bit more. So it was definitely low, but I'm hoping I didn't do any actual damage. So let's go take this on a test drive and see what we get. We're just gonna take it real slow and easy. We've gone back a little bit. Let's go forward and see if it brakes just going up to the garage. Okay, no new strange sounds. And since the transmission's cold, I'm skipping second. Just kind of coasting down the hill here. I'm not hearing any noises. The ticking noise that I was hearing is going to be very hard for the camera to pick up, so I don't think you would hear it at all. I don't think you would have heard it before, even when it was starting to get loud and concerning. I don't think the camera would have had a good time picking that up at all. I am going to turn right because that keeps me on surface streets. But this is where I would start hearing the ticking usually. Seems like I fixed it. I think I did it. There is still quite a bit of vibration. Oh, wait. that's bad. It's back. It goes away when I go into four-wheel drive. So I might have done damage to the chain. Yeah, it goes away when I put it in four-wheel drive. If I did damage to the chain, this is going to be something that I take to the shop. So, because I've never taken apart a transfer case before, and I genuinely do not have time. I need to get this thing back on the road as soon as humanly possible, because I need this thing to pick up materials for my other project. So I succeeded in replacing the seal, but that did not solve the problem. My seal was definitely leaking, and I was definitely low on fluid, but I suspect I might have either I did some damage to the chain, or something else entirely is wrong with it. But when I put it in four-wheel drive, it works again. Well, that sucks, but it is what it is. I'm gonna have to take this down to the shop. Before I go, I want to talk about something really quick. I'm just gonna mention it now, and we're not gonna mention it again. After now, it's just going to be our little inside joke. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been getting a lot of comments saying things like, just show us the repair, or this is a waste of time, we don't need your life story. And look, I get it. You're coming to YouTube to try to solve a problem that you might be having, and you come on my channel, and I very much don't do that. There's a reason why I don't do instructional videos. Instructional videos implies that I know something, and as you can tell from this video, I very clearly have no idea what I'm doing. I came into this completely cold. I had a problem, laid out a hypothesis, and ran some experiments, really trying to follow a scientific method. Now, my mistake was buying a whole bunch of stuff before I discovered the problem, or potentially the problem. I definitely found a problem, and I tried to fix it, and it didn't work. Unless you're looking for instructions on what not to do, or if you're looking for instructions on how to fail at automotive repair, that's when you come here. But you don't come here to learn how to do something the right way, because that would imply that A, I know how to do it right, and B, that I choose to do it right, because usually neither of those are the case. That said, I do read your comments, and I am going to make a little bit of a change. If along my journey I find something very helpful on YouTube, like for example, this project, changing the output shaft seal, I will link that video. Now, in my previous Jeep video where I replaced the heater core, I found like 3 or 4 videos helpful, and maybe I'll go back and update that video and pin with some links. So I will, going forward, if I find something on YouTube that is helpful, I will provide a link to that thing that helped me solve the problem, so that if you're coming here to solve your own problem, you'll at least find my inspiration, and maybe that'll help you. Most of the time I figure it out on my own. A lot of times I'll take bits and pieces from 3 or 4 videos, and if I can think of it, I'll include that. Sometimes, like in this video, I find one video that I find extremely helpful, and I go back to that several times over. That's the kind of thing that I'm going to try to provide for you guys going forward, so that if you come here trying to solve a problem, you'll be able to solve that problem, and I'll still be able to tell my stupid stories. That's all I've got for you for now. I'm going to take this thing down to the shop, and I'll report in a future video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, comment. If you don't like what you see, leave a comment anyway, because that can be a lot of fun as well. Have a good one. I'll see you next week.